Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Maps and Metaphors. We are in Iceland, and this is episode number 3. We were staying in a beautiful campsite last night, and it had mountains and river in the sight from our camper van. It was so beautiful. The thing is, when I was looking at the nature and, of course, camping, the question came to my head that where did this term and this style originate from? Well, I'm talking about camping. I was so curious to learn a little bit more about it. So I did a little bit of research on the internet and found out some details that I would love to share with you guys. So let's get started. Well, the camping that we know today is a leisure activity. A lot of people say it's the most easy way to connect with the nature. You can be in nature for a long time and really forget about the worries and your city life and, get back to the natural instincts, things like that. However, if we trace the origin of camping, like where did it all start? It was never a recreational pursuit for the people in the past. It was more like a thing which can be associated with hunter-gatherers. So you basically find food, you have to survive. And the one who survives lives, right? So it's more on those principles. But these days, it has become like sort of a thing of luxury. You can be in your camper van or you can be on the camping grounds. You have facilities like showers, actually hot showers, toilets, even some of the camping sites have electric pitches, so you can put your recreational vehicle or like even the camper, and if you need an electricity connection, there you go. But it was never such a luxury thing until the word camper or camping actually originated. It was more ancestrally thing of surviving in the nature. But let's go back to the term. The term itself, the camping, is derived from the Latin word campus, which actually means field. However, the concept of camping is actually coming from the indigenous people of North America and some tribes of Arabian Peninsula, and also the Aboriginal people of Australia used tents and makeshift shelters while moving with the seasons or some game maybe they are playing or a part of. Now, going further, the modern concept of camping originated in UK in the early 20th century. And there were like some handbooks, some details which would mention camping as some source of enjoyment and relaxation. And I also found out that it was only available to the really high class and rich people who can afford to be in the nature for that long with all their expensive gears, and most probably the automobile or the cars or the big trucks they can carry for long distances, things like that. Interesting, isn't it, so far? Now, if we go further and see how does the modern day camping looks like, it's more and more accessible to the people, and the prices have gone down because, of course, like there are companies who are involved. This is more a part of tourism industry where the cost could be distributed, like someone is arranging a camper van for you or camping site. A lot of people come and utilize the facilities. So in a way, the cost gets distributed, and also the people who are involved in this industry can make a little bit of profit. So it's a win-win for everyone. more affordable, beautiful experiences, so on and so forth. And going further, there were like few interesting things that I also found out that that could be interesting for this session, or sorry, the episode. Bear in mind, this is just my third episode. I'm still improving and learning uh, about the podcast, how to record it, and I'm just recording it all raw. So if there is something, I will improve in the future episodes. Let's get back to the camping. Well, I think this is very much of the information I had to share, but then I would like to conclude by saying that this is very much in our nature as a human to be more in the surroundings, in the beautiful nature, and at least for me, I feel like very much connected, and I regain all my energy being in the nature. And camping is a thing for me. Well, I was concluding, but something I forgot that I wanted to mention in this episode, because I come from India, so I was very much curious to learn like how was it for different regions of the world, because when I searched on the internet, there was a lot of information about the Western countries, but I was curious how was it in India. Like, was there something similar to camping in those times, or how were people dealing with it? So I found out that historically, camping in India was largely a part of nomadic culture and associated with the military. So, for example, Mughals and the Rajputs had lavish tented camps, which were not just makeshift shelters, but were also equipped with amenities and decorated beautifully. So it had everything, a lot of luxury they would carry. There was people who would do it for them. So you know how it is for the riches. So the tents that they had like actually reflected their royal stature and aesthetic sensibilities. While in the Himalayas, which is really beautiful mountain ranges in the north of India, the nomadic tribe like Gujars and Barakwals practiced transhumance, which is a type of nomadism, setting up temporary camps as they moved with their herds with the changing seasons. That's really interesting to learn. And I've heard like a lot of stories. I haven't had a chance to even go near Himalayas. I'm planning maybe in the future I do so, but like learning about it and reading about it, I have known like it's so raw, it's so open in the nature. A lot of people who survive and live there, it's brilliant. Like there's less and less of facilities, and the nature is quite harsh. So if you're able to live there and practice camping, you are really a champ. Also, then there is something I also learned, because history doesn't goes, or like something which is evolving doesn't go unidirectional. There is an influence and impact of things on each other. So therefore, I was also curious, like there was a British era, and that was the time where camping was like the word camping was founded and was made popular. And at the same time, like British also had their colony in India. So I was just interested, like, did they have any influence on India more in terms of modern camping, other than what we were just referencing, the kind of nomadic camping in the Himalayas or from the Rajputs. So I got to know some information. Well, during the British colonial era, camping actually took a new form in India. The officers from the British and their families who would like to beat the heat of India in the summer. By the way, it could go really hot sometimes in the north, even more than 40 degrees. And these days it's even more. But yeah, in those times, if it was hot, like they would set up a tent in the hills, marking the beginning of hill station culture. So the hill stations that we know in India, like Shimla, Manali, Darjeeling, they got a name as hill station more from the British influence and from their style, and those were their retreats in the summer to beat the heat. So that was some kind of a shift happening, like kind of taking shape, that kind of camping, in India. So very interesting to learn all this, and I'm very happy to share it with you guys. Also, the camping would mean like something non-permanent or temporary structure, like your a camping tent or a camper van. You will be on the go all the time. But when I'm talking about the British in the colonial era in India and their hill stations, they would have their permanent settlements there, like some structures which they would have their, I don't know, you can call it like a second or third or fourth home, whatever that was. But very interesting to see, because we still see the hill stations in India, and they are like quite interesting, and they're still a best way to beat the heat in the summers of India, if you want to. There are beautiful hotels and old buildings which are really interesting. So that was sort of something as an influence of British for the camping in India. So maybe I will just finally conclude by saying that these days all sort of campings have come up. People have given it different names. You call it adventure camping, wildlife camping, eco camping. Even there is a term called glamping, which is like a glamorous camping. So it sounds like very much luxury. You don't really have to do much, but yeah, just be in the nature, breathe fresh air. While camping is a little bit more raw, maybe you don't have to. You don't expect any toilets or showers. You really have to go into the woods and yeah, free yourself. Those kind of things. And I would really say, if you are anywhere in the world, just start simple. If you really are curious, or if you have got curious after listening to this episode about camping, just start simple, start small. Wherever you are in the world, nothing stops you from camping. For example, if you are in India, in the region of Rishikesh, near Ganga, there is so much possibilities to set up your tent, or even use the tents set up by some companies. You can go in the north of Himalaya. If you are, for example, in Europe, it's pretty much everywhere. It's a quite a culture here for to do the camping, especially in the summers. And even you go further in the west, in America or even Australia, I think it's very simple to look for the camping grounds, and you can either rent a camping gear with a camping tent, sleeping bags, and so on and so forth, or you can just look for the facilities which offer everything inclusive, and just start simple. So that's everything kind of in this episode. I hope this was an interesting one for you and you loved it. And thanks everyone for listening. And until next time, take care. Bye bye. Cheers.